The dying goddess. The smoke rose from Corvath Prime, like the last breath of a dying world. Declan Sorus walked through the battlefield alone. His boots crushed broken metal and ash with every step. 3 days had passed since humanity declared victory. But Declan did not feel like a winner. He felt like a man walking through a graveyard that stretched beyond the horizon. Bodies lay everywhere. Human soldiers, syndicate warriors, machines torn apart by weapons that left nothing but shadows burned into stone. Command had called the mission complete. They had ordered everyone to leave. But Declan was a field medic. He had been a field medic for 11 years, and he knew what mission complete really meant. It meant acceptable losses. It meant leaving behind anyone too broken to save. Declan did not believe in acceptable losses. His medic kit hung heavy on his hip. He had not saved anyone in 30 hours. The survivors were gone. The dead were beyond his help. But still he walked. Still he searched. Because sometimes the dying hid in places the scanners could not see. That was when he saw the ship. It sat in a crater like a fallen star. But it did not belong here. Syndicate vessels were ugly. All sharp edges and weapons bolted onto more weapons. Human ships were simple boxes designed by committees who feared creativity. This ship was neither. It curved like frozen water. Its surface shimmered with colors that hurt his eyes when he looked directly at them. Purple. Silver. Colors that had no names in human language. The crash had torn it open along one side. Through the breach, Declan could see corridors that seemed too large for the ship's size, as if the inside existed in a different space than the outside. Every instinct told him to walk away. Unknown vessel. Possible biohazard. Potential traps. The list of reasons to leave was long and logical. Then he heard it. A breath. Faint. Weak. Fighting to continue. 11 years had taught Declan what that sound meant. Someone was alive in there. Someone was dying. He climbed inside. The interior made no sense. Walls that should have been torn were only bent. The material seemed to flex like living tissue. Emergency lights pulsed in soft blue waves, guiding him deeper. Strange symbols covered every surface. They looked like wind and water frozen into permanent shapes. He found her in what might have been the command center. She lay beneath a collapsed beam. Her skin was white like fresh snow. Burns marked her body, weeping clear fluid that caught the blue light. Her hair was the color of wheat at harvest, now matted with blood and dust. Her features were almost human, close enough that the differences felt wrong in ways total alienation would not. Her ears. They swept back and upward into elegant points that lay flat against her skull. Not human. But dying. Just the same. Declan dropped to his knees. He pressed 2 fingers to her throat. Pulse present but weak. Breathing shallow but steady. He had treated exactly 0 patients of her species. He was working completely blind. So he did what medics always did when facing the unknown. He treated what he could see. And he prayed that biology was more universal than politics. Her armor was beautiful. Form and function married with an artistry that made his standard trauma shears feel ashamed to exist. He cut through the seals anyway. The wounds beneath were serious. Burns deep enough to need grafting. A puncture wound, partially sealed by medical foam, built into the armor itself. He worked with the efficiency that training had carved into his bones. Clean, assess, treat. His hands moved without hesitation. He was spreading burn gel across her abdomen when her eyes opened. They were the color of galaxies being born. Purple and silver swirling in patterns that suggested ancient intelligence. She looked at him, at his hands on her bare skin, at the medicine gleaming on his fingers. When she spoke, her voice carried an authority that made his spine straighten, without permission. Do you understand what you are doing, human? Declan's hands stopped. You are touching the Architect Queen of the Celestian Dominion. My blood on your hands could start a war that erases your species from existence. His brain processed her words, cross-referenced them with every intelligence briefing he had ever received. The symbols on the walls. The ship that belonged to no faction. Celestian. She was Celestian. And if she was calling herself Architect Queen, that meant she was Vetriana Sultris, ruler of an empire that made humanity look like children playing with dirt. 3 seconds passed. 5. 10. Declan's hands began moving again. Your Majesty's wounds do not care about wars, and neither does sepsis. May I continue? Those ancient eyes widened. In 3,000 years, no one had ever spoken to her like this. You may continue, she whispered, and something in her voice sounded almost like surprise. The weight of crowns. She could destroy humanity with a single command. Entire fleets would burn planets to ash if she whispered the order. Yet here she was, bleeding, broken, allowing a human to carry her through the ruins of a war that was not hers. Declan moved carefully through the wreckage. The queen lay in his arms like a fragile secret. She weighed almost nothing. Her armor seemed to apologize for having mass at all. Whatever the Celestians built their equipment from, Human science had not discovered it yet. You are going the wrong direction, Vetriana said. Her voice was weaker now. The authority remained, but pain had wrapped itself around every word. The medical station is north. I know where your station is, human. I also know there are syndicate patrols between here and there. Declan did not stop walking. The patrols pulled out 6 hours ago. I watched them leave. Silence. Then something unexpected. A small sound that might have been a laugh. You watch carefully for a healer. Medics who do not watch carefully become patients. Then they become bodies. Tick. The pain medication was working now. Declan could tell, because her sentences grew longer. Her guard dropped lower. Celestians were apparently not immune to human pharmaceuticals. They simply processed them differently. Why are you here? He asked. The Celestian Dominion has no part in this war. Your empire does not interfere with what you call infant species. You know much about my people. I read intelligence briefings when I cannot sleep. Why are you here, Your Majesty? She was quiet for a long moment. Her fingers tightened on his shoulder. Not from pain, from something else. Something that looked almost like fear. I came alone, she finally said. In secret. No guards, no fleet. No one in my empire knows where I am. Declan stopped walking. You came to a war zone. Alone. The ruler of 43% of known space flew into a battlefield without protection. Yes. Why? Her eyes met his. Those impossible galaxies swirling with colors that human eyes were not built to understand. Because my own council is trying to kill me. The words hung in the air like poison. Declan started walking again. Faster now. His mind processed this new information with the same clinical efficiency he used on wounds. The Queen was not here by accident. She was running. Hiding. A ruler of an empire that had lasted 12,000 years was fleeing from her own people. Tell me, he said. You do not command queens, human. I am not commanding, I am asking. If someone is hunting you, I need to know what I am protecting you from. Again that silence. Again that strange expression that might have been surprise. The syndicate found something, she said, in the ruins on the fourth moon. A weapon. Ancient. Powerful. Something that should not exist. What kind of weapon? The kind that can kill Celestians. Declan felt cold spread through his chest. Celestians were immortal. Everyone knew this. They did not age. They did not sicken. They could be wounded, but they healed from injuries that would destroy any other species. A weapon that could kill them permanently was not just dangerous. It was impossible. My council learned of this weapon, Vetriana continued. They wanted to destroy it, bury it, pretend it never existed, but I wanted to understand it. I wanted to know who built something that could threaten us, and they did not like your curiosity. They liked it so little that they sold my location to the syndicate. They arranged for my ship to be shot down over this battlefield. They expect me to die here, forgotten, blamed on the war. Your own advisors betrayed you. Power makes monsters of everyone eventually, even those who serve immortal queens. The medical station appeared ahead, a ugly box of prefabricated walls squatting in a crater. It had survived the bombardment through sheer architectural stubbornness. Declan had marked it yesterday, thinking it might prove useful. He had not imagined it would prove useful for hiding galactic royalty from assassins. He carried her inside, laid her on the examination table. The diagnostic systems flickered to life and immediately began screaming in mechanical confusion. Readings that matched no known species. Parameters that broke every biological assumption in its programming. Declan switched it to manual mode. Your equipment is distressed, Vetriana observed. It will survive the experience. So will you. He was preparing fresh bandages when she grabbed his wrist. Her grip was stronger than it should have been. Her eyes were wide, fixed on something beyond the walls. Medic? Declan? There is a ship entering orbit. He looked up. Through the damaged ceiling, he could see the sky. It was beginning to burn, a streak of light cutting through the atmosphere. Too controlled for a meteor, too fast for human vessels. Celestian warship, she whispered. The hunters my council sent to finish what the syndicate started. How long until they land? 40 minutes, perhaps less. Can they track you? They can read DNA from orbit. They can hear heartbeats through stone. They have been hunting prey across galaxies for longer than your species has existed. Declan looked at the burning sky, then at the Queen, then at his medical station full of human equipment that suddenly felt very small and very primitive. They will glass this entire planet to hide evidence of my weakness, Vetriana said. Every human still here will die, including you. 40 minutes. Celestian hunters who could track DNA through stone, a queen too wounded to run, and one human medic with nothing but bandages and stubbornness. Declan smiled. Then I have 40 minutes to hide a queen. Vetriana stared at him. You cannot hide from the Celestian Empire. No one can. He was already moving, gathering supplies, running calculations in his head. The radiation zones he had mapped during his sweep. The scanner blind spots created by Syndicate weapons. The places where even gods could not see. Your Majesty, he said, with respect, your empire has never hunted anyone on my battlefield before. This is not your battlefield. This is a graveyard. Declan pulled her from the table, lifted her again into his arms. His eyes were calm, his hands were steady. His voice carried something that almost sounded like certainty. Graveyards are where medics do their best work. Outside, the sky burned brighter. The hunt was beginning. The hunter's game. 39 minutes to hide a queen from hunters who had never failed. Declan ran through the wreckage with Vetriana in his arms. His lungs burned, his legs screamed, but he did not slow down. Above them, the sky was on fire. The Celestian warship was descending through the atmosphere like a blade cutting through silk. This is foolish, Vetriana said. You should leave me. Save yourself. I did not ask for your opinion, Your Majesty. I am giving you a command. I am a medic. I do not take commands from patients. She made a sound. Frustration mixed with something else. Something that might have been admiration. Where are you taking me? Sector 7. There is a bunker beneath the old refinery. They will scan every structure on this planet. Not this one. Declan jumped over a fallen beam without breaking stride. The Syndicate used cobalt warheads in this sector. The radiation signature blind scanners creates dead zones where sensors see only static. Vetriana was quiet for a moment. You mapped the radiation zones. I mapped everything. It is what medics do between treating patients. It is what... You are a strange human. Declan Sorus. I am a living human. That requires being strange in times like these. The bunker entrance was hidden beneath collapsed concrete. Declan had found it during yesterday's sweep. A reinforced door leading down into darkness. He kicked away the debris and pulled it open with one hand while still holding the queen with the other. The stairs descended into blackness. Cold air rose from below, carrying the smell of dust and old metal. Declan activated his helmet light and began the descent. 27 minutes remaining. The bunker was small. Originally designed for emergency shelter during orbital bombardment. 2 rooms. No windows. Walls thick enough to stop most scanning technology. The radiation outside would do the rest. He laid Vetriana on the floor as gently as he could. Then he moved to the entrance. Pulled the door shut. Engaged the manual locks that did not require power. Darkness swallowed them. They will still find us, Vetriana said. Her voice echoed in the black. Commander Vexorus leads this hunt. He has tracked targets across 14 galaxies. He once followed a single drop of blood through a nebula that spanned 3-star systems. He has never tracked anyone through human stubbornness. You think stubbornness will save you? I think stubbornness is the only thing that has ever saved anyone. Declan sat beside her in the darkness. He could hear her breathing, shallow but steady. The pain medication was wearing off, but he could not risk another injection. The chemical signature might be detectable. Minutes passed. 5, 10, 15. Then the ground shook. The hunters had landed. Declan pressed his hand against the floor. He could feel vibrations traveling through the stone. Footsteps, heavy, purposeful, moving through the wreckage above with the patience of predators who had never known failure. 6 of them, Vetriana whispered. I can feel their presence. They are spreading out, forming a search pattern. Can they sense you? My biofield is weak from the injuries. But if they get close enough, yes, they will feel me like a candle in darkness. Declan closed his eyes, focused on his breathing, on his heartbeat, on being still and silent and invisible. The footsteps grew closer. Through the ceiling, he heard voices. The Celestian language was beautiful, musical, like wind chimes made of starlight, but the words carried death in every syllable. Commander, Sector 7 shows heavy radiation contamination. Scanners are ineffective. Then we search with our eyes, our senses. The Queen is wounded. She cannot have gone far. What about the human biosigns we detected earlier? Irrelevant. If any humans interfere, kill them. We are here for the Queen. Nothing else matters. The footsteps stopped directly above the bunker. Declan held his breath. Vetriana's hand found his in the darkness. Her fingers were cold, trembling. Not from weakness, from something else, from the knowledge of what would happen if they were discovered. Seconds stretched into eternities. Then the footsteps moved away. Declan exhaled slowly, but he did not relax. The hunters were still out there, still searching, and they would not leave until they found their prey. Why did you take my hand? Vetriana asked. Her voice was barely audible. You were afraid. Queens do not feel fear. Everyone feels fear. Even rulers of empires. Silence. Then her grip tightened. 3,000 years, she said. I have ruled for 3,000 years. I have watched civilizations rise and fall. I have made decisions that shaped the fate of billions. And in all that time, no one has ever simply held my hand because I was afraid. Then you have been surrounded by the wrong people. I have been surrounded by people who wanted things from me. Power, favor, protection. Everyone wants something from a queen. I want you to survive. That is all. Why? You could let me die. You could tell my hunters where I am. They would reward you. Your species would benefit from their gratitude. 7. Declan thought about the question. In the darkness, truth came easier than lies. Because you were bleeding, he said. And I do not let people bleed when I can stop it. That is what medics do. We do not calculate politics. We do not measure value. We just stop the bleeding. Above them, the search continued. Voices calling to each other in that beautiful deadly language. Footsteps circling like sharks around wounded prey. Then a new sound. Closer. The bunker door groaned. Someone was testing it, pushing against the metal, searching for weakness. Declan slowly drew his sidearm. A medical pistol, designed for emergencies. Against Celestian armor, it would be like throwing stones at a starship. But he raised it anyway. The door groaned again, louder. The locks were holding, but for how long? Declan, Vetriana whispered. If they break through, you must run. Promise me. I do not make promises I cannot keep. Promise me. The door screamed. Metal bending. Locks failing. Light poured into the bunker. Blinding. Terrible. And in that light stood a figure. Tall. Beautiful. Armored in silver, that reflected colors human eyes could not name. Commander Vexaris smiled. Found you, he said. And then he saw the queen. His smile disappeared. Vetriana. My queen. How disappointing to see you like this. He stepped into the bunker. His eyes moved to Declan, to the pistol, to the hand still holding the queen's fingers. And a human pet. How far you have fallen. Declan stood, placed himself between the hunter and the queen. You will not touch her. Vexaris laughed. The sound was beautiful and terrible. Little human. Do you know what I am? I have killed species. Not individuals. Entire species. Your defiance is not brave. It is simply sad. Maybe. Declan raised his pistol. But I am still not moving. Behind him, Vetriana rose to her feet. Her wounds screamed. Her body trembled. But her eyes began to glow with ancient power. Vexaris, she said. You were my most trusted hunter. I gave you your name, your rank, your purpose. And your council gave me new orders, my queen. You have become inconvenient. I see. Her voice dropped to something cold. Something dangerous. Then let me become something else. The bunker exploded with light. The impossible stand. The light that exploded from Vetriana was not light at all. It was power. Pure. Ancient. The kind of power that had built empires and burned worlds to ash. Commander Vexaris flew backward. His silver armor cracked against the bunker wall. For one perfect moment, surprise replaced arrogance on his beautiful face. Then Vetriana collapsed. Declan caught her before she hit the ground. Her body was shaking. Blood seeped fresh through her bandages. The burst of power had torn her wounds open again. Foolish, she whispered. I am too weak. Then let me be strong enough for both of us. Vexaris rose from the rubble. His armor was damaged but not broken. His smile was gone. In its place was something cold, something hungry. Impressive, my queen. You still have fire, but fire without fuel is just smoke. He drew his weapon, a blade that seemed to be made of frozen starlight. It hummed with energy that made Declan's teeth ache. Kill the human first, Vexaris said into his communicator. Let her watch. Let her understand the cost of her stubbornness. Footsteps above. The other 5 hunters were coming. Declan had seconds to think, seconds to plan, seconds to find a way to fight gods with nothing but human cleverness. He looked at the bunker, at the walls, at the ceiling that was already cracked from Vetriana's power. An idea formed. Your Majesty, he said quietly. Can you walk? Barely. Then barely will have to be enough. When I say, run, you run. Do not look back. Do not stop. What are you planning? Declan smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a man who had made peace with impossible odds. Something stupid. He fired his medical pistol at the ceiling. The shot did nothing to Vexaris. But it was not meant for Vexaris. It hit the cracked concrete above, the ceiling that had been weakened by 3 days of bombardment, the structure that was already dying. The bunker began to collapse. Run. Declan grabbed Vetriana and threw them both toward the back tunnel, the emergency exit he had noticed when they first entered, the small detail that careful medics always remembered. Behind them, the ceiling fell. Tons of concrete and metal crashing down on Commander Vexorus, burying him in rubble that would have killed any human instantly. It would not kill a Celestian, but it would slow him down. They emerged into the night air. The radiation zone spread around them like a poisoned ocean. Somewhere in the darkness, 5 hunters were searching. 5 immortal predators who could smell blood across star systems. Declan ran. His legs burned. His lungs screamed. Vetriana was barely conscious in his arms, but he did not stop. He could not stop. Stopping meant death. The refinery, he gasped. There is a control room. Blast doors. It might buy us time. Nothing buys time against hunters. Then I will steal time instead. The refinery loomed ahead, a skeleton of metal and rust. The Syndicate had used it as a command post before the battle. Now it stood empty, dead, but its bones were strong. Declan found the control room, sealed the blast doors, set Vetriana down against the wall. She looked at him with those galaxy eyes, weak, fading, but still burning with something that refused to die. You should leave me. You keep saying that, because it is true. I am the reason they are here. Without me, they would have no reason to hunt you. And without you, I would have no reason to fight. So we are even. A sound outside, metal scraping against metal. The hunters had found them. Declan checked his pistol. 3 shots remaining. 3 shots that would do nothing against Celestian armor. He was a medic with a toy gun facing warriors who had destroyed civilizations. But he stood anyway. Declan. Vetriana's voice was strange. Soft, almost tender. Why do you keep fighting? You know you cannot win. Winning is not the point. Then what is? He looked at her. This ancient queen who had ruled galaxies. This powerful being who had watched species rise and fall like seasons. This woman who had never known what it felt like to be protected without price. The point is that you matter. Your life matters, and I will not let anyone take it while I am still breathing. Something changed in her eyes. Something cracked. The wall she had built over 3,000 years of ruling alone. You impossible human, she whispered. The blast doors exploded inward. 3 hunters poured through. Their blades drawn. Their eyes hungry. They moved like liquid death, flowing around obstacles, closing the distance in heartbeats. Declan fired. The first shot hit a hunter's visor. Did no damage, but blinded him for half a second. Declan used that half second to dive left, pulling Vetriana with him. The second shot hit a fuel line on the wall. Old, forgotten, still carrying fumes from the refinery's working days. The explosion was small, but it was enough. Fire bloomed across the room. The hunters stumbled. Their armor protected them from the flames, but the smoke and chaos bought precious seconds. Declan ran for the back exit, a service corridor leading deeper into the refinery. He had not mapped this area. He was running blind. But running blind was better than standing still and dying. They burst into a large chamber, the refinery's main processing floor. Huge machines stood silent and dead. Pipes ran across the ceiling like metal veins. And at the far end, a door marked emergency exit. They were halfway across when the floor exploded beneath them. Vexorus rose from below. His armor was cracked. His face was bloody. But he was smiling again, that terrible, beautiful smile. Enough games. It's human. He moved faster than Declan's eyes could follow. One moment he was across the room. The next, his hand was around Declan's throat, lifting him off the ground like a child lifting a toy. I will admit, you have impressed me. No human has ever survived this long against my hunters. You are clever, resourceful, brave in your pathetic way. Declan could not breathe, could not speak, could only struggle uselessly against a grip stronger than steel. But cleverness does not defeat power. Courage does not defeat strength. You are an insect fighting a god. And insects always lose. Vetriana screamed. Release him. Vexorus laughed. Or what, my queen? You can barely stand. Your power is exhausted, you have nothing left. I have the truth. Something in her voice made Vexorus pause, made his smile flicker. What truth? Vetriana rose to her feet, shaking, bleeding. But her eyes were blazing with something beyond physical strength. The truth about the weapon, the truth about why the council really wants me dead, the truth about humans. Humans are nothing. Insects. Children. Playing in the dirt, while we ruled the stars. No. Vetriana stepped forward. Humans are not children. They are something far more dangerous. Something we forgot. Something we made ourselves forget. Declan's vision was fading. The grip on his throat was crushing his windpipe. But he heard her words, heard the weight behind them. The weapon the Syndicate found. The thing that can kill Celestians. It was not made by the Syndicate. It was not made by any species we know. Vexorus's smile was gone now. What are you saying? It was made by humans. Ancient humans. Before they forgot what they were. Before we made them forget. The grip on Declan's throat loosened slightly. shock breaking through arrogance. Impossible. Is it? Look at him, Vexaris. Look at this human who has fought you across a battlefield. Who has hidden a queen from hunters who never fail. Who stands against gods with nothing but courage and will. Vetriana reached Declan. Her hand touched his face. Her eyes met his. Humans were never insects, Vexaris. They were lions, sleeping lions. And we were the ones who put them to sleep because we feared what they would become if they ever woke up. Declan stared at her, his vision swimming, his mind struggling to understand. What were we? He gasped. Vetriana smiled. Sad, ancient, full of secrets older than stars. You were our equals. Once. Before we took that from you. Her eyes began to glow. And I'm going to give it back. She pressed her hand to his chest. And Declan Sorus began to remember what humanity had forgotten. The Queen's debt. Fire. Declan felt fire pouring through his veins. Not painful fire. Something older. Something that had been sleeping in his blood for 10,000 years. Waiting. Dreaming. Remembering what his mind had forgotten. Images flooded his consciousness. And humans, standing among the stars. Not as children, not as insects, as builders, as warriors, as beings who had touched the fabric of reality and bent it to their will. He saw ships that dwarfed planets, weapons that could crack open suns, cities that floated between dimensions, and everywhere, humans, walking beside Celestians as equals, partners, friends. Then he saw the fear. Celestians watching humans grow stronger, faster, more creative, more dangerous. He saw councils gathering in secret, decisions made in shadows, a plan to stop humanity before they surpassed everyone. He saw the forgetting, a wave of energy spreading across human space, touching every mind, erasing memories, burning away knowledge, reducing a species of gods to a species of children who would spend millennia relearning what they had already mastered. And he saw one Celestian who voted against it. One queen who said this was wrong. Vetriana. Declan's eyes snapped open. The world looked different now. He could see energy flowing through everything. The heat signatures of the hunters. The power coursing through Vetriana's wounded body. The molecular structure of Vexaris's armor, and exactly where it was weakest. Vexaris still held his throat, but his grip felt different now. Weaker. Slower. No, not weaker. Declan was stronger. What did you do? Vexaris stared at the queen with horror. What did you do? I gave him back what we stole. Vetriana's voice was fading. The effort of awakening Declan had drained everything she had left. I gave him the truth. You have doomed us all. The council will learn that their sins have consequences. Declan moved. His hand came up faster than it should have been able to move, faster than human muscles could manage. His fingers found the crack in Vexaris's armor, the weakness his new eyes had seen. He pressed. The armor shattered. Vexaris screamed, released his grip, stumbled backward with shock painted across his beautiful face. Impossible. You are human. Human. Declan stood. His body felt different. Same flesh, same bones, but something had awakened inside them, something that remembered how to be more. I am human, he said, and you have forgotten what that means. He looked at his hands. They were glowing, soft golden light pulsing beneath his skin, the same light he had seen in his visions, the light of what humanity used to be. You think we were always weak? Declan continued. You think we were always children stumbling in the dark, but we built wonders that made your empire look small. We touched the edges of creation. We danced with forces that would have destroyed lesser species. He stepped toward Vexaris. The hunter retreated. For the first time in his immortal life, fear lived in his eyes. And you stole that from us. You reached into our minds and burned away everything that made us dangerous. You left us crawling in the mud, thinking we had always belonged there. It was necessary. Vexaris's voice cracked. You were growing too powerful. You would have surpassed us, replaced us. So you crippled an entire species because you were afraid of what we might become? Yes. The word exploded from Vexaris, desperate, defiant. And I would do it again. Humanity unchecked would have consumed everything. You breed like insects. You adapt like viruses. You create and destroy with equal passion. Left alone, you would have owned the galaxy within 1,000 years. Maybe. Declan's voice was quiet, calm, terrifying in its stillness. But that was not your choice to make. He moved again. Vexaris raised his blade, swung with the speed of an immortal warrior. But Declan was no longer fighting like a human, he was fighting like something older. Something that remembered combat styles developed over millions of years. He caught the blade with his bare hand. The metal screamed, bent, shattered into fragments that fell like frozen tears. Vexaris stared at his broken weapon, at the human who had broken it, at the end of everything he believed about the universe. What are you? Declan grabbed his throat, lifted him off the ground, mirrored exactly what had been done to him moments ago. I am what you created. I am the consequence of your fear. I am humanity awakened. He could kill him. The knowledge was there. A dozen ways to end an immortal life. Techniques that had been erased from human memory but now burned bright in his mind. But he was still Declan Sorus. Still a medic. Still a man who had spent 11 years learning to save lives instead of taking them. He threw Vexorus across the room. The hunter crashed through machinery. Lay still among the wreckage. Alive. Broken. But alive. Tell your council what you saw here, Declan said. Tell them humanity is waking up. Tell them to be afraid. He turned to Vetriana. She lay where she had fallen. Her eyes were closed. Her breathing was shallow. Giving Declan his memories had cost her everything. He knelt beside her, pressed his fingers to her throat, pulse fading, life slipping away. No. He gathered her in his arms. You do not get to die, not after everything. The golden light in his hands pulsed, brightened. He did not know what he was doing. The knowledge was there, but incomplete. Fragments of healing techniques that humanity had once mastered. He pressed his hands to her wounds. Energy flowed, not the violent power of combat. Something gentler, warmer, the power to heal instead of harm. The gift that had made ancient humans valued across the galaxy. Vetriana's wounds began to close. The burns faded, the punctures sealed. Color returned to her white skin. Her breathing steadied, strengthened. Her eyes opened. Those galaxy eyes, purple and silver, older than civilizations. They looked at him with something he had never seen in them before. Wonder. You healed me, she whispered. I am a medic. It is what I do. She laughed. Weak but real. The first genuine laugh he had heard from her. You are so much more than a medic, Declan Sorus. Maybe. He helped her sit up. But healing is what I choose to be. Outside, the sound of ships. Not hunter vessels. Something larger. Vetriana's head turned toward the sound. The Loyalists, she said. My true followers. They have been searching for me. Then you should go to them. Yes, she rose to her feet. Steady now. Strong. The queen restored. I should. She looked at him for a long moment. At this human who had carried her through fire, who had hidden her from hunters, who had stood against gods with nothing but courage, who had awakened for the first time in 10,000 years. Come with me, she said. Declan blinked. What? Come with me. To the Dominion. You have seen what humanity was. Help me show them what humanity can be again. I am a field medic from a species you consider infants. What could I possibly offer your empire? Vetriana smiled. It transformed her face, made her look less like an ancient queen and more like a woman who had finally found something she had been searching for across millennia. You could offer them hope. You could offer them proof that the sin we committed can be undone. You could offer them a bridge between what humanity was and what they will become. She extended her hand. You saved my life, Declan. By the laws of the Dominion, I owe you a debt. I could give you planets, armies, treasures beyond imagination. But I do not think you want those things. I do not. Then let me give you something better. Let me give you purpose. Help me wake your species. Help me undo what my people did. Help me build a galaxy where humans and Celestians stand together again. Declan looked at her hand, at the queen who had changed everything, at the future spreading out before him like an ocean of stars. He thought about the battlefield above, the bodies he had not been able to save, the war that had taken so much from so many. He thought about what humanity could become, what they had been, what was stolen from them. He took her hand. I have one condition. Name it. Whatever happens, whatever I become, I remain a healer first. I will not become a weapon. I will not become a destroyer. If humanity wakes up, we wake up as builders, as creators, as the species that runs toward the bleeding. Vetriana's grip tightened. Her eyes glistened with something that might have been tears. That, she said, is exactly why I chose you. The Loyalist ship descended through the burning sky. Celestian soldiers poured out. Beautiful. Powerful. They saw their queen standing in the ruins. They saw the human beside her. They saw Vexorus broken among the machinery. They knelt. My queen. The lead soldier's voice trembled. We feared you were lost. I was lost. Vetriana looked at Declan. A human found me. The soldiers exchanged glances. Confusion, uncertainty. Humans were insects, children, nothing. This human saved my life, Vetriana continued. He fought hunters. He defied an empire. He reminded me why I voted against the forgetting 10,000 years ago. She raised her voice. Let it carry across the ruins. Let it echo into the communicators that would transmit her words across the galaxy. Humanity is no longer a protected primitive species. From this moment forward, they are recognized as equals, as partners, as the allies they should have been since the beginning. Silence. Absolute. Shocked. Then the lead soldier spoke. Your Majesty, the Council will never accept this. The Council tried to kill me. Their acceptance is no longer relevant. Her eyes blazed. Send a message to every system in the Dominion. The Architect Queen lives. The conspiracy has failed. And humanity is waking up. She turned to Declan one final time. Are you ready? He looked at the sky, at the stars waiting beyond, at the galaxy that was about to learn a truth buried for 10,000 years. I am a medic, he said. I go where the wounded are. Vetriana smiled. Then you will have much work ahead of you. The galaxy is full of wounds that need healing. They walked toward the ship together. The Queen and the medic, the ruler of empires and the healer of soldiers. Two people who should never have met, but whose meeting would change everything. Behind them, Vexaris watched from the rubble. Broken, defeated, but alive. He activated his emergency beacon. Council, he whispered. We have a problem. The Queen lives. The human has awakened, and everything is about to change. 3 months later, Declan stood on the observation deck of the Celestian flagship. Below him, Earth turned slowly in the void. His homeworld, the place where humanity had forgotten what they were. The place where they would remember. Second thoughts? Vetriana joined him at the window. Just thinking about what comes next. What comes next is difficult, painful. The awakening will not happen overnight. And there are those who will fight to keep humanity asleep. I know. He turned to face her. But I have faced worse odds. When? 3 months ago, when I decided to treat a wounded queen instead of leaving her to die. She laughed. That real laugh he had grown to treasure. You are still impertinent. I am still a medic. Impertinence comes with the profession. She moved closer. Close enough that he could see the galaxy swirling in her eyes. Whatever comes next, she said, we face it together. Together, he agreed. Below them, Earth waited. Above them, stars burned with ancient light. And somewhere in the space between, humanity was beginning to wake up. The galaxy would never be the same.